Hi, this is Rich Lee from the Hall Institute of Public Policy, and welcome to the Hall Institute Public Forum, our internet television show where we talk about public policy issues in New Jersey with the people who are directly involved in those issues. And if you've watched our show before, this is a relatively new thing for the Hall Institute. It's a live show that we stream on the internet. So we hope that you'll join us in a discussion. If you're watching live, there's a chat icon on your screen on the right-hand side. Click on that. You can talk with other people who are viewing it. You can even ask us a question, either for me or my guests, and we'll try to get that on the air. And today, I think it's especially important. I'd really encourage people to have guests, because we have really interesting guests who's involved in a fascinating project on an issue that's not really that new, but she's taking a fresh approach to it. And our guest today is Gina Genovese, the Executive Director of Courage to Connect New Jersey. Gina, thank you for joining us here at the Hall.
Thank you, Richard Lee, for having me.
Okay. I know we're going to talk about Courage to Connect New Jersey and what you're doing there, but maybe if we can start out talking a little bit about you. I know you were the mayor of Long Hill Township, which is maybe where this idea evolved, but before that you worked in the private sector. Maybe take us through how you went from the private sector, what made you get involved in government, and where you are now.
I started in 1983. I started my own business in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. I own a tennis club, and I interacted with a lot of people on a daily basis. And after about 20 years of doing that, I just wanted to give back a little bit more to my community and use some of my skills and my business acumen. And I started to get involved in local politics. I ran for office in 2004 and lost, and then I ran in 2005 and won. And then a year later, in 2006, I was unanimously voted mayor in my town, and got to serve for a whole year as mayor of a town that had 9,000 residents in it. And that was really an honor. In 2007, I ran for state senate in the 21st district, and I spent 5 months going door to door, listening to people's concerns, going right into the living rooms and talking with them. So I got a really low-level look at how concerned people were about their property taxes.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about Long Hill Township, because I think that there's different sections of it, and it's probably not unlike a lot of other communities in New Jersey, which maybe was one of the reasons we're talking about municipal consolidation today.
Long Hill Township is actually 5 villages. It's Millington, Sterling, Gillette, Myersville, and Homestead Park. And it's a really wonderfully bucolic community in the southern part of Morris County, very close to Union County.
Okay. And where did this idea, I know, as I said, it's not a new idea. We presently have 566 different municipal governments here in New Jersey, and people have been trying for 40 years or even longer, I understand, to consolidate some of the towns, and it just hasn't happened. So how did this become like a big issue for you?
Well, you saw the frustration of people trying to have a municipal structure and support a municipal structure of 9,000, which is right in the mix of the 566 municipalities. It's amazing how many have between 5 and 10,000 in population, which really translates to about 3,300 people having the tax bill to support this municipal structure, and to see it, the same thing repeated over and over again, and the buildings and the services that you provide, it just didn't make sense as a business standpoint to see the burden that people had to carry.
Yeah. So why hasn't it happened? It seems almost like a no-brainer. Sometimes when you see the statistics and how you might have 10, 15 towns in a geographic area, someplace in Bergen County that might be 1 or 2 towns in Texas or Florida. So.
It's an interesting issue, because since 1972 with the Cahill Commission, we have been addressing this. And each time that there is a commission, it's been moving forward. We had the Slurp Commission. But what's happened is we've pretty much left the people out of the loop. What's essential is to address this issue and educate them about home rule, so that they can come up to the level perhaps where we are at now, which is a lot of towns are doing shared services. There has been talk about consolidation on the ballot. Sussex-Wantage just had it. We've had great legislation passed in 2007 with the Municipal Consolidation Act, and that the people need to know about that. They need to be informed about that. They need to be informed about their role in restructuring New Jersey. And I think that's been a missing piece so far, that they really haven't been able to have the conversation about how important their role is in this issue and moving it forward.
Yeah, so you think there may be a gap there? I mean, I think the people, I say we like to reach the real people in New Jersey, that, they're not as troubled by the idea of a couple of towns merging as, some officials or some, people who have, special interest in keeping things the way they are. All right.
And every issue has its timing. We're getting to the point now where financially we cannot sustain 566 municipalities, which might not have been the urgency 40 years ago. And I think people are aware of it. Once they start having services cut, they're going to have to see that something has to structurally change in New Jersey in order to keep the quality of life and to have their taxes at a reasonable price to pay for these services. But we have an educational video on our website, which takes about 8 minutes, but it's the first of its kind to go through the home rule, to go through how towns fractured off. And it's a nice way for people to understand this issue.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about Courage to Connect New Jersey, and hopefully we'll get the web address on the screen. But why don't you give the web address for anyone who's interested in finding out more about your organization? It's
couragetoconnectnj.org.
Okay. Great, and if you're watching, hopefully you'll log on, learn a little bit more, about the organization. Just want to back up for a minute, and I don't know if you know the answer, but how do we get to the situation we're in? Like, people have said if New Jersey was a blank slate, no one would say let's chop it up into 566 different towns. How did we evolve into what we are today?
Well, there was a Home Rule Act which people could vote and splinter off from the township that they were with. It had to do with railroads, it had to do with whether you wanted to be a dry town, it had to do with religion, had to do with urban and suburban, had to do with water issues, sewage issues. So there's a myriad of reasons why, and actually Alan Karcher has a great book, Municipal Madness, that talks about this, and it's pretty funny because he said everybody that's made any of these decisions is long gone now, and we're having to still suffer under what they did years ago. Yeah, it's like one of those things where there were good reasons for doing it back when, but it's a new time now, and it's funny. Like I'm hearing more and more people talk about Alan Karcher's book now, which, as you said, maybe now we're at the point where we're getting to the breaking point, and something's going to have to be done. Yeah. And this issue is building upon it. I feel like I'm building upon Alan Karcher and giving it through the internet and through the different ways, mediums that we have now. It's easier, I think, to reach people. Yeah. What are some of the problems of having so many towns? I mean, in terms of cost savings, some other issues? We have a lot of mandated positions that weren't there 40, 50 years ago, and the redundancy runs about 4/5 or 80%. Each town is doing the exact same administrative structure as the other one. To give you a really good example, Long Hill Township just put in a new municipal building, and it's wonderful. It's big, it's fabulous. But it's not used as much as it should be. And in the next town, Berkeley Heights, they had it on their referendum last year for $3 million to put in a municipal building. And you see that you're asking the taxpayers to pay for this when essentially there's one a mile away. And why do we have to have this redundancy? Yeah. Okay. So then, from this, how did Courage to Connect New Jersey, get going? And tell me, I know some of the things you're involved with, but talk a little bit about what the organization is doing now. We have looked at this issue and we've crunched the numbers and we've made a lot of progress. But the people haven't been brought along, essentially, in this progress. There's still Some of them are at what's a municipality. Some of them are at, I didn't know we had 566. And so you really have to reach them where they're at and bring them along so that they can see that that there's not going to be also a loss of identity. I think a lot of people are concerned because we're social beings, we're emotional